So good evening, everyone. Welcome to join tonight's lecture. Actually, this is the third lecture for the course Global Open Course, national parks and protected areas in China. Yeah. I think some of you here have attended the previous two lectures. Yeah. So the first lecture was given by Dr. Cao. And he talked about, introduced this global open course arrangement and also the protected area. Yeah. And then the second lecture was given by Dr. Zhao, and she talked about national parks in China. So today, actually, I will give the lecture on, nature reserves of China. Yeah. So through the previous two lectures, I'm sure some of you have been clearly knowing what is the difference between protected areas and the national parks and also nature reserves and some other types of protected areas. Yeah. So protected areas actually is the whole term. Yeah. And national parks, nature reserves, and other parks and other types all belong to the protected areas. So the first thing I just trying to once more to give you the concept. Yeah. So I will start my lecture now. So outline for tonight, actually 4 parts. Yeah. So the first one, I will just introduce, development history of nature reserve in China. And the second part, I will introduce some biodiversity conservation in China's nature reserves. Yeah. And the third part is give a typical case. Although I write here cases, but I will just give one case tonight of nature reserve in China. Yeah. And the last part just showing the development trends of nature reserve in China and give you some, bring home questions to think about it. Yeah. I think for tonight's lecture, some knowledge points you should catch from my talk. The first thing is the concept of nature reserve. Yeah. And secondly, you need to know why we need to establish nature reserves. And third is development progress. Yeah, so you should know how in China we develop our nature reserve. And the fourth is, how many types of nature reserves in China we have. Yeah, and then what we have made the efforts. Yeah, and also what kind of achievements we have, obtained. For the nature reserves in China, yeah, and then the future development trends, yeah. And I think this is normal, yeah. From this lecture, you should just get to know from what and why and where and how, yeah. So then you will catch the main points from today's lecture. So first, I bring you to the first part, yeah. So the development history of nature reserve in China. I think for the definition, actually nature reserve is a kind of, area, the certain spatial area, yeah, with a clear boundary, yeah. So, of course, with special protection and also management purposes, yeah. So this is just trying to, give you a kind of a special boundary. And then secondly, this nature reserve should also be, they could be the land, or the water body on land, or wetland, or marine area, yeah. So this is actually just say including the different kind of ecosystems, yeah. And then the third point for nature reserve actually is it should be nature ecosystems and also nature concentrated distribution areas of rare and endangered species, wild animal and plants, yeah. And also natural relics of special significance and other protected objects. So this give you, their significance and also their value, yeah. So this is the whole body concept of nature reserve. So the question is why we need nature reserves, yeah. I think normally, I would like just to emphasize on the human population, yeah. So increase issue, yeah. So if we look at these figures, I use quite often, yeah. So you see actually the human population increase, at its the end, just like, very quick, straightforward to the sky. This is the population. Yeah. And because of this kind of pattern, actually cause a lot of problem. Yeah. Like natural resource exhausting. Yeah. So including land, water, etc. So many kind of resources were exhausted. Yeah. And also, because of the population, yeah, we cause a lot of environmental pollution, yeah, and also destruction, yeah. And then, because of this, our base, biodiversity, so our surviving base, yeah, for humans, yeah, starting to degrade and also losing, yeah, sometimes, yeah. So because of this, I think definitely we need a nature reserve, yeah, trying to put a certain area protected, yeah, for specific ecosystem, for some endangered rare species, yeah, including plant and animal, yeah, and also some genetic species, yeah. So this is clearly say why we need nature reserve. Otherwise, human beings will occupy everywhere, yeah. So let's just have the first interaction, yeah. I just want to know which nature reserve in China is the first one in China, yeah. Probably you know, yeah. And when did this nature reserve is established, and where does it locate? So here, does anybody know this? And I can just give the answer. In China, so which nature reserve is our first nature reserve? Who knows? Should I point the name? You know? Most probably you know, because you just had a group activity I attended.
Probably Tsinghua Nature Reserve. It was established in 1956 and located.
Sorry, can you just repeat, use Michael?
Oh, yeah. I think it's Tsinghua Nature Reserve. It was established in 1956, and I forgot exactly where it was located, in Guangdong or Zhejiang. Sorry, I forgot.
In Guangdong. Thank you very much. That's correct answer. Tsinghua Nature Reserve is our first nature reserve established in China, and was established in 1956. It locates in Guangdong, Zhaoqing. So this is Tsinghua Nature Reserve in 1956. Yeah, and this nature reserve specifically established to protect the southern subtropical, zonality forest vegetation. Yeah. So if you look at this landscape, it's really covered by the dense, forests. Yeah. And the water is so clean. Yeah. And located in Guangdong province. Thank you very much. So for this nature reserve history, we actually we identified 5 periods, but in some book, some documents just classified into 4. Yeah. So here, if you look at the the curves, including one curve of amount of nature reserves, and one curve showing the area of established nature reserve. Yeah. So the first period, actually, we call it establishment stage. Between 1956 and 1965, across 10 years, yeah. And the second stage, actually, we call it stagnation stage. Actually, completely almost stopped constructing nature reserve between 1966 and 1976, 11 years, quite a long time, yeah. And then the restarting stage between 1975 and 1979, 4 years, it's a short time. And then we start a rapid development of nature reserve. If you look at the middle part, so the curves just, quickly, goes up, yeah. And then the last stage, actually, from 2005 to now, it's a stable stage, yeah. And either the number of nature reserve, all the area they keeping very, stable. So I will show the different stage, the characteristics. Yeah. For the first stage, establishment stage. Yeah. So in 1956, actually both, two experts, Professor Bing Zhi from Institute of Zoology, who is the academician of Chinese Academy of Sciences, yeah, and also Qian Chengsu, who is the expert on botany, yeah, from Institute of Plant Sciences, also Chinese Academy of Sciences. They proposed a proposal to establish nature reserve at the third session of the first National People's Congress. So that's the first step, start China Nature Reserve, construction period, yeah. And in 1956, as we have just talked about, the Dinghushan Nature Reserve was established. That's the first one. That's the very important beginning point, beginning step, yeah. And this is also the only one nature reserve belong to the Chinese Academy of Sciences, not belong to the central government, okay? So during 1957 to 1966, we totally established 19 nature reserves, yeah. So I listed the 19 nature reserves here. Actually, all these 19 nature reserves, they come from 9 provinces, like Guangdong, Fujian, Yunnan, Heilongjiang, Guangxi, Jining, Gansu, Sichuan, and the Shanxi province. Yeah, all these 19, nature reserves, they only focus on the forest and also category 1 and 2 animals. So not to contain all types. Yeah. So this is the first stage, and the second stage I call it, stagnation stage. We have, China has experienced a difficult period from those years. Actually, we have 2, movement. Yeah, one is a great leap forward movement. Actually, all the people start to make industry, or whatever. Actually, cut a lot of trees and also a lot of land being used for industry. Yeah, but with low technique level. Yeah. And the other movement is the Cultural Revolution movement. So this 10 years actually caused a serious impact on the environmental protection, yeah, also nature reserve establishment. So in 1973, August, National Environmental Protection meeting was organized, and the China Provincial Nature Reserve Plan was proposed. So this is good, yeah. So now restarting the nature reserve establishment. So through 4 years, 1975 to 1979, yeah. So the actually by 1978, the end of the year, 45 nature reserves were established across China. Yeah, so it's also a big step. Yeah, so with a total area of 126.5 times the scale is 10,000, right? So hectares. Yeah, so it's a big step. And the next step is a rapid, development stage from 1980 to 2004. So this period actually covers 24 years. Yeah. So in 1997, outline of China Nature Reserve development plan was printed by National Environmental Protection Agency and the State Planning Commission. Yeah. So meanwhile, every province started their own plan for nature reserve establishment. Yeah. So to the end of 2004, you can see the number. We have 2,349 nature reserve were established across China. Yeah, and also a national network of nature reserve with relatively few types. yeah, reasonable layout, and also sound functions has been initially formed. Yeah, so this is a quick development period. So then we move to the last period, actually the recent period. So we are still in that period, yeah, from 2005 to now, yeah. It's stable, yeah. And the target of nature reserve development has been changed from a quantity perspective to quality perspective. That's why the number and also area, does not show the increasing, but the quality is improving, yeah. The numbers of nature reserve increasing slowly, yeah. To the end of 2018, we have 2,750 nature reserves were established, yeah, across China. So with also 474 national nature reserves, yeah, and accounting for 14.3% entire country's land area. So generally, we can see the status of nature reserves in China. So China is now one of the countries with the largest area of nature reserve in the world. Yeah, and basically we have formed the nature reserve network with relatively all types. Yeah, a reasonable spatial distribution and comparatively perfect functions. Yeah. So the policy, regulation, and also criteria systems of nature reserve have been well established. Also, the management system, yeah, and the scientific monitoring system were all, well established. So through this, actually, all this efficiently made their, important or successfully role on resource protection, scientific monitoring, and also the propagation and education for nature reserves in China. Yeah. And I have mentioned several times nature reserve types in China. So here I use the figure to show it clearly. Yeah, the one type is nature ecosystems. We include a lot. China is a big country from east to west. We cover a lot of ecosystems because of the humidity change. Yeah, east is near the ocean, Pacific Ocean. Yeah, and the west near the high mountain, Himalaya, and also the dry desert area. And from south to north, we cover from the tropical, and to the north, even the tundra area. So in China, we have many kind of ecosystem. Yeah. So and the second type is wildlife species, including plant, animal, and also some, maybe I think the microbial species, or not species, microbials, they actually belong to this kind of ecosystem. So when we say the wildlife species, normally the plants and also the animals, yeah. Another type is nature relics. Here I just showed two examples. One is, Shaoshan Volcanic Nature Reserve in Hebei province. The other one is a dinosaur egg fossil nature reserves in Henan province. Yeah. So we have these three types, remember? So I have finished my first point. Now we move to the second part. So I just want to get you to know some biodiversity conservation in China as well as in China's nature reserve. Yeah. So biodiversity, I'm sure you know the concept. Biodiversity is the base for survival of the life on the earth. So I just, in my office on the wall, I have a kind of a piece of paper showing, biodiversity is the life. Biodiversity is our life. Okay, so you understand this. So we cannot survive without biodiversity. Yeah. So biodiversity is a variation in living forms and their relationships. Yeah. Normally including three levels: ecosystem, species, and also genetic. Yeah. So I put the figure at the right side. You can see generally effective ways to protect the ecosystem well. Then we can protect also good the species in the different ecosystem, as well as all the genetic diversity. Yeah. So the very effective way is trying to protect the ecosystems. Yeah. Of course, some endangered species probably just located in a very small site. So we could, with the focusing on protecting that specifically, the endangered species. For instance, in Yunnan, there are some, we call the small population, especially the plant. Yeah. For instance, just one big old tree surviving in one of the village. So those should be protected, but they are not an ecosystem. Yeah. So I just give the examples. So biodiversity can be measured, yeah, by the number of species. Yeah, we know how many species there, and the functional variety of species. Yeah, so what kind of function they have. Yeah, and also evenness of species distribution or genetic diversity. Yeah, so actually there are many ways. Yeah, so actually for this, actually we're trying to get also mathematicians, people to be involved, to establish the methodology to help ecologists or biologists to calculate the biodiversity. Yeah, and even the computer experts. Yeah, so work together. Yeah, so in the past century, lots of species have been extinct. Yeah, that's I think everyone knows this. Yeah, so which resulted in many problems for the ecosystem and of our Earth. Yeah, because any species that exists on the Earth, it has its own role, playing on the world, on the Earth's surfaces. So only things, sometimes a human being doesn't know that, but they are, playing the roles. That when they extinct from the Earth, their roles also extinct. So maybe cause some problems. Yeah. So so we should know this. Yeah. Every species has its existing value. Later I will just talk about it. So for the ecosystem diversity, yeah, normally we category 2. One is the terrestrial ecosystem, yeah, on land, yeah, so including forest, shrub, grassland, desert, wetland, yeah, and many types of semi-artificial ecosystem like agricultural lands, urban town lands, even the aquaculture, something, I think I should use that term, yeah. So in China, I've mentioned that we do have very rich, types of ecosystems, yeah, on the land. We have also, a long coastal zone line. So we have a large area of marine ecosystem, including we have an inland sea like Bohai, yeah. We have a Yellow Sea, East China Sea, South China Sea, and also one normally not so familiar with for the people, like we call coral shell. Yeah, it's a kind of a warm ocean flow. Yeah, so also occupy large area. Yeah, so actually among this or near them, actually there are many different, small scale compared with the scale of this marine, yeah, ecosystem. So we have many types of marine ecosystem, like mangrove forest, like the ocean. Along the ocean, there are a lot of different kind of wetland. Yeah, so that's quite important for us. Yeah, because they contain many species, many function for human being. Yeah, useful for human being. Yeah. And for species diversity, yeah, I just want to point to one important point. Among 36 biodiversity hotspots in the world, China contains 4. Yeah, mostly are located in the western or southwest. Yeah, like China Southwest mountainous area. Yeah, this is the most diverse, including Yunnan, yeah, province. Yeah, and we have also China Himalaya region. Yeah, so because of elevation change, very sharply, so contains a lot of different habitats with a lot of species living there, right? And we have also Hindu Myanmar mountainous region in China part, yeah. And we have also Middle Asia mountains area, yeah, also in China part, yeah. So China has really a rich species diversity, yeah. So I don't need to mention these numbers, yeah. So like animals and plants and fungi and others, yeah. So you know the logo of this time's the Biodiversity Congress, yeah, so COP15, organized in Yunnan, I attended, yeah. I just say because of fungi, if we say the very small microbes, so could contain in everywhere, like in the water droppings or in the leaves of plants or in the animal, skins, but big fungi. So I add one there because they are also very beautiful sometimes, but sometimes poisonous, right? Yeah. So I add there. Yeah. So really, China has a very rich species diversity. And the genetic diversity. Yeah. So normally in China, genetic diversity mainly focuses on economic species. Yeah. Such as crops and the garden trees and the flowers, livestock, yeah, and aquaculture species, yeah, medical species, and food fungi. So you eat mushrooms, yeah, and herbaceous, yeah. So we eat a lot of, medicines from herbage, also the vegetables, yeah, yeah. So we have a certain way, to keep genetic diversity, like constructing their protection systems. For instance, we build a seed biodiversity station. Yeah, we build a seed resources bank, and for the animals, for genetic, we also have a genetic station. Yeah, so even the bank. Yeah, so later I have some figure to show. And another point I want to just mention you is why the biodiversity important. Yeah, so generally probably yeah, they are they stay on the Earth's surface with us together. We depend on them, and how to make people know their importance. So actually from a 2000 Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, yeah. The scientists and also the government, yeah, trying to set up a kind of a calculation method to put the value of biodiversity with money, because people knows clearly this is very expensive, that is very cheaper. So the cheaper one you will not take, very put importance on it, but a very expensive one, luxury ones, you will just say, oh, I need to protect it because not easy, yeah. You need to spend a lot of money to buy it. So that's why we say we trying to set up the kind of assessment method, yeah, to show the direct value. So what is direct value? For instance, you eat the rice, you eat the noodle, you eat the apples, so you all can find the price from the market. So those are the direct value, yeah. So the value from money can be, direct get from the market, even the timber, the medicine, yeah, the fish, yeah, the meat, whatever, yeah. So this is easy to calculate, but we also should notice the indirect value. They are very important, yeah. For instance, why Beijing got terrible air pollutions, yeah. So because we lack of the green coverage, yeah, yeah. So then you should know, okay, actually the green coverage like forest or wetlands, they can regulate the air conditions, yeah. They can absorb some dust, they can release the oxygen, they can fix the carbon dioxide, yeah, and give the the moisture to the air, so in a very hot summer season, yeah, so you can just stay under the tree, especially in Beijing, you will feel very comfortable, yeah. But if you, without the tree cover, you just stand under the sun, horrible, right? So this is the kind of indirect value we call ecological services, yeah. So they provide a lot of services like, fix the carbon dioxide, which is a green gas, a greenhouse gases, right? Yeah, so increase the temperature. Yeah. And they can release the oxygen, yeah, which human needed. They can provide the fresh water, especially in the forest, and also of course in the wetland, they will purify the surface polluted water. Yeah, so many ecological services. Yeah, so this kind of services in the past time people will not pay attention because they don't know the value. Yeah, but the people directly know. I want to go to outside, climb the mountain, hiking. I want to go to the beach, yeah. I want to near the wetland to have my, houses, yeah. So why? Because you feel comfortable, you feel relaxed, you get, renewed, yeah. And also, remember here, I put the potential value, yeah. I put the existence value. Potential value, because some species, we don't know them. So definitely we don't know their role on the earth, yeah. So they have the potential value. If we know them, so those value can service human beings a lot, yeah. So for sometimes, even the cancer. So human beings actually found some medicine, yeah. So from the nature plants, yeah, can help human beings to fight with the cancer, right? And for the existence value, actually, which is not determined by human beings, they existed there through the long-term evolution, right? So ecological evolution, yeah. So they can exist, they have their value, they play the role, yeah. So we should respect all these values, then we can win, yeah. So both nature, both human society can sustainably exist, for a longer time, yeah. And for this slide, just show, for the biodiversity also now are facing the threat factors. And in one of the previous slides, I've already shown why we need establishing nature reserves. Here, just put the threat factors like human population increase, yeah, habitat fragmentation because of human occupied land, yeah, destroy some nature land, yeah, and environmental pollution, yeah, and invasion of alien species because a human, bring the species everywhere, yeah, bring the rabbit from Europe to Australia, so cause disasters, yeah. And now China, we have also, if you know the yellow flower, so also, with very tiny seeds, a big amount. Once that yellow flower plant occur, they can occupy the whole area in a year, in a short time, and it's very difficult to remove them, yeah. And so that's the, invasion species that they can, destroy the local community, the plant community or ecosystem, yeah. They could remove all the native species out of that area. So then we will lose a lot of ecosystem services, right, yeah. And also climate change, yeah, can cause the obvious impact on the biodiversity, yeah. So what kind of measures we can take to protect biodiversity? Yeah. So the most important is in situ conservation. Yeah. So just keep those biodiversity in that area, then we protect them. Yeah. So make them have their own homeland there. Yeah. So nature reserve actually are the representative schemes. Yeah. For in situ conservation. Yeah. For rare and endangered species. Yeah. So except in situ conservation, we do have additional one, ex situ conservation, which is also very necessary. Once the endangered species has a very low population outside locally, so then we should, help that species to maintain their population, even to increase their population, like giant panda, like Amur tiger, Siberian tiger, right? And even sometimes suddenly I cannot give the examples, but of course giant panda is a very successful species we have conserved, protected. Yeah. So for ex situ conservation, we have very different forms. Yeah. So like zoo, you can go to zoo to see the different species. Yeah. Because in the zoo it has well-established conditions to protect those species. Yeah. And also botanic garden for the different plant species. Yeah. And also the wildlife park. Yeah. And the seed bank and also gene bank. Yeah. And also the aquarium, yeah. And we have, China, we have a national gene bank. Yeah, I think it's in, I forgot, in Guizhou or somewhere, yeah. Anyway, so gene bank also is a very good way to maintain many different species, can hold them for a long time, yeah. I should speed up myself, yeah. So for the conservation work, actually, in China, I just put a list here. We did quite a lot, like speed up the progress of biodiversity mainstreaming. Yeah, actually, for the last 10 years, actually, I have been involved in many this kind of activities, mainstreaming the biodiversity conservation. One is in the environmental impact assessment, and also trying to get the government to, especially the officials, to get to know, the biodiversity importance and how to protect them. Yeah. In the early time, actually, only the scientists, spend a lot of time to conserve the biodiversity. Yeah. And also strengthen established policy regulation, the laws. Yeah. Improve both in situ and ex situ conservation, and implement ecological restoration, and raise the capacity on managing biodiversity safety. Yeah. Strengthen monitoring, managing, and law enforcing. Yeah. Deepen international collaboration on honoring agreements. Yeah. Enhance society participation, degree, and the public awareness. Yeah. Actually, all this part has, they have also been conducted in nature reserves. Yeah. So here I just want to give some slides to show the conservation work in nature reserve in China. Yeah. So nature reserve, as I've talked, it's a kind of in situ protection. Right? It's the most important and also most efficient measure for biodiversity conservation. Yeah. So in China, the total area of a nature reserve occupies 18% of national terrestrial land area and cover 4% of marine area. Yeah. So this actually effectively protected our 19% terrestrial ecosystem types, 85% wild animal species, 65% high plant communities, and near 30% important geological relics. Yeah. And the nature reserves, have played very important roles on protecting biodiversity and natural heritage. Yeah. On enhancing ecological and environmental quality, and on maintaining the national security. Yeah. So work aspect-wise, implementing large projects. Yeah. So like mountain, water, forest, crop, lake, grass protection and restoration projects. Yeah. And nature forest resource protection project, and the grain to green project. I hope you have already listened this. Yeah. And we have also husbandry to grass project. We have a protection forest system construction project, river, lake, and wetland restoration project. Yeah. So this project actually greatly improved the eco-environmental status of nature reserves. So the figure actually is showing actually the project range of closing hillside of afforestation in Qingling Mountains. And the work aspect to in nature reserve for conservation, actually establishing and also implementing regulations and the laws. So here I listed like regulations of the People's Republic of China on nature reserve, law of People Republic of China on the protection of wildlife, and the measures for the administration of forest and wildlife type nature reserve, and the Convention on Wetlands of international importance, especially as a wetland habitat. Guidance on the establishment of a nature reserve system when national parks as the main body. So this is also there are many other levels, laws or the regulations. And as a work aspect too in nature reserve, constructing nature reserves, you have shown our rapid, increasing period, and also trying to invest a lot on science and technology in nature reserves to improve the conservation, and set up special funds for scientific research and construction, and form the biodiversity monitoring network of nature reserve with applying new techniques such as camera trapping. You have seen the pictures, actually taken by the cameras in the world. So the middle one, the second one is from our group, So you can see actually the panda is migrating, And the first one actually taken in Gansu, So the mother panda, followed by the baby panda, And also we can apply the new type of satellite technicals. If you look at the bottom figures, actually, this panda actually was reintroduced from a captive cage to the wild. So you see the collar on the neck of the giant panda. So with this collar actually is a solar panel, with a solar panel, and also connect with the satellite. So you can always find its position, location, and can monitor its migration route, and it can find the animal easily, So then you can analyze its behavior. This is drinking water, And the work aspect for is to guide local people to change their traditional production ways, trying to, integrate conservation and development in a friendly way, to sustainable use the nature resources and their values, and to raise the public awareness on nature values of biodiversity and conservation. For instance, nature education was now actually very welcomed by the people in many provinces, like in Shanxi province. Even me, myself, also involved in the nature education, Just give people more nature knowledge and call their awareness to protect nature, right? And also to involve local people into nature conservation, gain benefits and improve their living conditions, So actually in this biodiversity conservation in nature reserve in China, we actually really get great achievements. For instance, giant panda, crested ibis, armored tiger, and the David's deer, and the Asian elephants, they all, quite successfully, from the conservation. Giant panda now from endangered to vulnerable. So this is announced by IUCN in 2016. And crested ibis, at the first we found only 7 individuals, 7 birds. Now actually 800 individuals in Yangxian, in Shanxi province. And the armored tiger nowadays, through the camera trapping, it's often occurred in the pictures, right? And the David's deer, actually the population is increased quite a lot, And Asian elephants, you have heard the story from the 15 elephants before the COP15, yeah, from the southern Yunnan to the north, yeah, to the Kunming, yeah. So this is, just show us, the achievements of our conservation. Okay, that's the second point. So the third part is, so the third part is give the case, yeah, typical case of nature reserve in China. I have interaction from you, with you. So do you still remember how many types of nature reserve in China? I have mentioned several times previously. Anna, remember? Okay, who remember? Can raise the hand. Okay, there.
I think it's 3 types.
Yes, 3 types. So what are they?
One is natural ecosystem.
Yes.
Another is wildlife species.
Yes.
And the third one is
And I think the third one is natural relics.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Very great answer. Yeah. Yeah, this is 3 types in China. Yeah, nature reserve to protect the nature ecosystem, and to protect the wildlife species, and to protect the nature relics. So this is 3 types. And next question: what kind of case of nature reserve you would like to catch more information? Just shout. Nature relics. Okay, any other suggestions? Sorry, loudly. Okay, great. That's my, I would like to talk. Okay, okay, so thank you. Nature relics I'm not so familiar with, sorry. Okay, we could find it. But can you guess what case I will provide to you? Jinzi?
I believe it's our project arm.
Don't think, okay, giant panda, great.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely I will provide a case of giant panda, because I've been working in giant panda nature reserve for 26 years. Yeah, so lovely pictures, right? Okay, next time come with me to the nature reserve. Maybe we could have chance to have picture with panda, yeah? So for giant panda nature reserve, the same as the nature reserve in China, we get great success. For giant panda conservation, central government every 10 years will organize the whole China panda habitat survey and also population survey. Yeah. So from the last one, the 4th national survey, we got the result. The world population has increased to 1864 individuals in the world, and the captured population has increased to 375 individuals. And habitat area has increased to 258 times 10,000 scale hectares, yeah, and also potential habitat area has increased to 91 times the 10,000 hectare, yeah, that scale, yeah, and the number of giant panda nature reserve now we have actually increased to 67, the whole China, yeah. So this is all the information from the CADID, although those in Chinese I have already translated, yeah. So because that work and achievements, so in 2016, IUCN has announced, say, giant panda has been no longer endangered species, which should be, downgraded to vulnerable species. So that's, I think that year actually caused the whole society, discussion on this issue. Yeah, even I got a call interview from the media. I say it's a good thing, which means we protect the giant panda, get success, right? But the government is just trying to, tell the people, although this is the IUCN announcement, but still in China we still take giant panda as endangered, which means we will still pay attention on conservation this species. So nowadays the 5th national survey just started. Yeah, so follow our conservation purpose. So for the in situ. So for the in situ protection of giant panda in the giant panda nature reserves, actually we're trying to protect and restore its habitat. For instance, this is actually 67 nature reserve of giant panda, distribution from south to north. Yeah, so I put 3 stars. The northern one is Qingling, the middle one is Wolong Nature Reserve. Yeah, in Chonglai Mountain. The southern one is Mabian Nature Reserve in Liangshan Mountain. So I have actually strategically designed my research pattern plan. However, later on I gave up the southern one and also the middle one. I just spent all my time in the Qingling Mountain. So in Qingling, I made my study in Foping, Guanyinshan, Changqing, Laoxiancheng, and Zhouzhi, and Huangbaiyuan, yeah, 6 nature reserve, yeah. So we actually get a lot of results from our research, yeah. Later I will show a little bit, yeah. So this is a corridor, yeah, so panda need more habitats. And except the nature reserve area, we still have some area with good habitat. So that is why we should trying to construct corridors for the panda to migrate, yeah, for migrating, to use more habitats, yeah. And for those corridors, sometimes with low quality, maybe we should, efforts on restoration work. Especially, I want to just add some more words on Qingling Mountain, yeah, the northeast refuge of giant panda. You can see actually isolated from the western panda population for a long time, and they have no chance to naturally communicate each other. Yeah, so that's why sometimes scientifically, scientists want to say the subpopulation of Qingling, yeah, giant panda. But this is a kind of debate, yeah. And so Qingling actually has almost all covered by the nature reserve. Yeah. So from the 4th national survey, we found that Qingling has 345 panda individuals. Yeah, and 15 giant panda nature reserve, excluding the corner one actually belong to the Mingshan. Yeah, in the very west. Yeah, so not connected with the Qingling part. Yeah, so this is the in the Qingling, yeah, situation. Yeah, and if you look at some part, actually we have trying to make corridors, which means more efforts on restoration the habitat for giant panda. And another work is zoning. Yeah, so because I think in the last lecture given by Dr. Zhao has showed you in China, because of the population, human population actually everywhere, yeah, all the nature reserves, national parks all have the local people living there, right? So how to harmonize the human development and also the nature conservation? Zoning is the very good way, yeah. So originally we have a policy on 3 zones, yeah. So cold zone for strict conservation, buffer zone for relatively control, and then experimental zone for local people to live and to make development, economic development, yeah. And but for zoning has some problems, yeah. We have one paper analyzed it, and we established a kind of scientific approach to both consider the human needs and also the giant panda needs. So then merge them, combine them, we get the results for this one, yeah. So this is the human area, human needs. This is the panda requires the habitat conditions. So merge together and we overlay with the existing Panda points. Actually, it's quite reasonable. Yeah. So if you want to know more, actually, we have published this paper. Yeah. And nowadays, the policy has been changed, also trying to follow the current society situation change. Yeah. So from 3 zones to 2 zones. Yeah. So actually, strictly control the cold zone, and then the normal control zone. Yeah. Actually, in this way, you can see if we can clearly identify the boundary of these 2 zones, then we know actually the cold zone has enlarged its area. And also for the original experimental zone, also enlarged its area, which actually both good for human and also species, right? Yeah. And the other work is, even since the animal will migrate, yeah, so we need to find theoretically where the animal will migrate. So actually we could follow their requirements, the habitat requirement. Yeah, so we build the model. Yeah, so first we look at the pattern of their their locations. Yeah, and to look at where are the very dense area, and then we look at the habitat, where are the suitable habitat, and then we look at the whole area where are the the resistance to stop the animal to migrate. Yeah, so based on these models, so we have this final result using the current theory, physics current theory. Yeah, so then you can see how the animal will migrate from a very dense area to the good habitat without dense populations. They can use the other resources. So this is the curves, and very green in the middle means more animal can migrate. In the outside area, actually, because of large resistance, so then low population can be migrate. So this is actually the model we built, and we obtained the result. And also we publish a paper. If you are interested, can read it. And I have mentioned actually for the animals migration, if they have they must pass through this to migrate to some good habitat. Sometimes the gap area should be improved so the human can make restoration. So we did this kind of work, yeah, restoration. We choose the arrow pointed area. In 2013, yeah, we planted the bamboos, and in 2016 we evaluated this project, and then 2018 I got a call from local people say the panda has visited our site. So exciting! You see this symbol, yeah, and the droppings from giant panda. Stay there for many days, and in the evening you can see eating the bamboos. Yeah, we installed the cameras there, can record it. Yeah. And so I went. I was very lucky. The panda still sleeping there in the morning. You see there, it's sleeping. And actually, you see at that year, actually, the panda there eat all the bamboos surrounded. But the second year, you see from the new shoots, bamboo grows quite well. This is 2019 summer. Yeah. So because of this achievement, success achievement, actually this is summer. And a British Meridian production company want to film my project area with the bamboos plantations. So they ask the China, what is that, I can't see it, yeah, Intercontinental Communication Center to help them to film. So the group of people come with me to the, come with me to the site. Yeah, you can see actually the whole slope has now grown very well bamboos. Yeah, hope one day the panda will visit again. And also in the nature reserve of giant panda, actually we use now the camera a lot for trapping, for monitoring, not only the giant panda, and also its other animal species who share the same habitat with giant pandas. You can imagine, without the cameras, we never, I cannot say never, hardly to spot the animals in the site. But with the cameras, all the time you can see different kind of species with a different behavior. Some eating, some fighting, some very interesting. We also luckily we got leopard picture, and I'm sure he actually wants to catch the prey in front. Yeah, this is a black bear. Panda taking rest and they enjoy sun shining. Yeah, so it's very interesting. Yeah. So we based on this kind of data, not only the pictures, you can use data mining to catch the information useful for scientific analysis from these images, right? And also in the Panda Nature Reserve, we can protect the wild population, through setting up the regulation, the laws to tell the people not kill, not catch the animal, the wildlife, and especially you can see even the panda can give the baby just outside, along the stone, and the brown panda in Qingling, only Qingling has the brown bear, giant panda, and when the giant panda got sick or got hurt. So they have a rescuing the scheme to help the giant panda. And also, except the in situ, and we have also ex situ protection. For instance, the breeding center is the way. They also train the. Oh, sorry. Should I stop? Or I haven't finished. Okay. You see, actually, Panda has a place to train them. This is very successful, And for the capture the giant panda population, we should have also, reintroduce them to the world to help them to enhance the wild population, So this is the story. We have the first one actually, released in 2003, actually finally died later because of, fighting with the wild panda for food, And later we realized that we should, make some training time and before release them. So actually, this kind of program was implemented, And also, when released, we actually install the, collars to follow them, can monitor them. And I just want to share, this is a Weipeng station, where I worked for some time in 1919, spring season, So that time the condition is quite poor, This is some other reintroduction site, like in Shanxi, this is in Wolong. Okay, so the other, work to enhance panda protection is collaboration, international collaboration. This is, for giant panda collaboration, actually, very much work done between China and the US. So you can see, this is the Wolong people, Zhang Heming, and this is my close collaborator, Dr. Melissa Songer. So both, first wife, but this is the previous one, right? They are from Smithsonian Institute, National Zoo. And I just want to also point it. Why? Also we have a collaboration, Tsinghua with the US Smithsonian Institute. So this is my collaborator, it's this lady. We did a lot of habitat assessment, monitoring, and restoration, and the capacity building. So the next slide is just showing our capacity building work to train the people in nature reserve for improving their monitoring using the GIS. So many years. The first one in Wolong is in 2001. And then we shifted from Sichuan to Shanxi province to get all Panda Nature Reserve staffs trained by GIS. So I'm very proud I have all the nature reserve with my students. I think the last point, we have a lot of trend for strategic aspect, and technical aspect, and the regulation aspect, and also the livelihood aspect. If we could make this well developed. So I think either the conservation or the local people, they can benefit from our nature reserve work. Yeah. So the leading topics I just brought to you is how to well manage a nature reserve with simultaneously considering conservation and people livelihoods in China with a big population, human population. And second is how can we make a nature treasures like clean water and green mountains of nature reserve bring people good livelihood, like we mentioned the golden and the silver mountains, And the third is what is your attitude on the issue of getting 50% of Earth's surface is protected for nature, So just give your time to think about this, I think this is the end of my talk today, and thank you for listening and paying attention. That's all for tonight.